Welcome to Infinite Universe with new interesting episodes. For thousands of years, many secrets about our history have remained hidden. Some were buried deep under the earth, while others were right in front of us but went unnoticed. One ancient language stayed a complete mystery for centuries until artificial intelligence finally helped decode it, and what it revealed was both surprising and disturbing. But that's just the beginning. With the help of modern technology, artificial intelligence, and sometimes pure luck, we're now uncovering truths that have been forgotten for ages. As we continue to reveal these ancient secrets, it makes us wonder, are we simply remembering what was lost, or are we stepping into something far stranger, something possibly unsettling that was hidden not only in ruins but in human intentions as well? One of the most fascinating discoveries was made in 1991 when two hikers were walking through the snowy mountains near the Austrian-Italian border. They found what looked like a body in the ice and thought it was someone who had recently died. But when scientists studied the body, they realized it was much older, over 5,000 years old. The man became known as Otzi the Iceman. His body had been preserved by the cold ice for thousands of years. Even his clothes, tools, and the food in his stomach were still there. Otzi had tattoos on his skin, moss stuffed in his boots, and a copper axe by his side, which shocked researchers. That axe was so advanced it made experts rethink what they knew about metal use in ancient Europe. They had believed that such tools weren't common in that time, but Otzi proved otherwise. Even more intriguing was the fact that he had injuries that had healed, signs he had traveled long distances, and a deadly arrow still lodged in his back. There were also signs he had been hit on the head. This showed that he was most likely murdered. But Otzi was more than just an ancient body. His DNA showed he had brown eyes, was lactose intolerant, and shared genes with modern people in Sardinia. He had heart disease and even parasites in his gut. He also had a small medicine bag that might have been used to treat those parasites. The last thing he ate was fatty ibex meat and a type of wheat called einkorn, which proved that his society was both hunting and farming. His life tells us about how ancient people lived, how they fought, what they ate, and even what they believed in. And thanks to modern tools like DNA sequencing and high-tech imaging, we're still learning more about him. What makes him unforgettable is that even after thousands of years, he feels familiar, like someone who laughed, cried, and faced challenges just like we do today. Technology continues to reveal hidden truths, and that was just the first example. In 1947, a young shepherd searching for a missing goat near the Dead Sea discovered clay jars inside a cave. Inside the jars were ancient scrolls that had been perfectly preserved by the dry desert air. These were the Dead Sea Scrolls, and they turned out to be one of the most important archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. The scrolls contained sacred writings, unknown stories, legal rules, and deeply spiritual texts, some written over 2,000 years ago. Many experts believe the scrolls were created by a Jewish group known as the Essenes, who lived separately from the rest of society and believed the world was nearing its end. One scroll, called the War Scroll, stood out because it described a detailed battle between the Sons of Light and the Sons of Darkness. This wasn't just a symbolic story, it read like a real military guide, complete with plans for how to fight, what weapons to use, and even the age of the soldiers. It showed that this group believed they were in a real war between good and evil. For many years, these scrolls were kept away from the public and hard to understand. They were written in ancient Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, and many of them were damaged. But with modern tools like multispectral imaging and artificial intelligence, scientists are now able to read parts of the scrolls that were once impossible to see. As we uncover more, it becomes clear these scrolls are not just old writings. They reflect a civilization that felt it was fighting for its very soul in a world full of uncertainty and fear. Another great mystery is the script used by the Indus Valley Civilization, which existed around 2600 to 1900 BCE in what is now Pakistan and northwest India. This civilization was advanced, with planned cities, sewage systems, and trading centers. But their writing system is still a mystery. Archaeologists have found over 4,000 inscriptions with symbols on seals, pottery, and tools. But none of these inscriptions have more than a few symbols, and there's no translation like the Rosetta Stone that helped decode Egyptian hieroglyphs. Some experts think the symbols represent a lost language related to Tamil or Kannada, while others believe it could be a completely unknown language family. Some even suggest it might not be a language at all, but a form of symbolic writing used for trade or rituals. In recent years, artificial intelligence has been used to study the Indus script. Machine learning models have analyzed the patterns and relationships between the symbols and found signs of grammar and structure. This gives hope that it really was a full language. However, without knowing what the symbols mean or how they were pronounced, we still can't understand the full message. Still, every small discovery is progress, and experts believe it's only a matter of time before we uncover the secrets hidden in these ancient signs. In Austria, something surprising was found far from the famous Colosseum of Rome. Archaeologists discovered the remains of a Roman gladiator school in the town of Carnuntum. What made this discovery even more amazing was that they didn't dig it up by hand. Instead, they used ground-penetrating radar and digital imaging to see beneath the soil. What they found was a highly organized training center for gladiators, showing that the brutal world of arena combat wasn't limited to Rome but had spread all across the empire. The site included a circular training area that looked like a small arena, dormitories where the fighters slept, a bathhouse for recovery, administrative offices, and even a medical center. This was not a place of chaos, but a place of strict discipline. Gladiators were not just warriors, they were valuable property and often symbols of Roman power. Some volunteered to fight, but many were slaves. They were trained to represent strength and control, and their fights were a form of entertainment as well as political messaging. The discovery of this school shows how far Rome's culture of violence and control extended, and how these fighters lived not just as warriors, but as tools of empire. In the city of Pompeii, archaeologists found something that gives us a different view of ancient life. Scattered throughout the ruins of this Roman city are small stone counters with deep round holes. These were thermopolia, or ancient Roman snack bars, where people would go to get hot food and drinks. They were the ancient version of fast food restaurants. Many people in Pompeii didn't have kitchens in their homes, so they depended on these places for daily meals. These counters were decorated with paintings of food, animals, and gods, showing that even something as simple as a snack bar was part of the city's culture and identity. Inside the large jars built into the counters, scientists found food remains like duck bones, fish, goat meat, and even traces of wine and vinegar. One of the most well-preserved thermopolia even had paintings and dishes that resembled modern stews or paella. These places didn't have seating, which made them more like takeout spots. But they were also social centers where people gathered, shared news, and made deals. They remind us that food has always been more than just fuel, it brings people together and reflects how a society lives. In 1922, the tomb of the young Egyptian king Tutankhamun was discovered, and among all the golden treasures, one item stood out, a dagger made from iron. But this wasn't just any iron. Scientists later found that the blade had high amounts of nickel and cobalt, which matched the metal found in meteorites. At that time in history, Egyptians didn't have the technology to make iron from ore, so any iron they had came from the sky. To the ancient Egyptians, the heavens were sacred, and anything that came from there was a gift from the gods. So this dagger wasn't just a weapon, it was a divine object made from star metal. It shows how ancient people connected their tools, beliefs, and the cosmos in ways we are just beginning to understand. These discoveries, and the technologies used to uncover them, are changing everything we thought we knew about the past. With every buried city, frozen body, ancient scroll, and hidden message, we are getting closer to the lives of those who came before us. But sometimes, these stories don't just answer old questions, they raise new ones. Are we only recovering knowledge that was lost, or are we entering a deeper and more mysterious part of history that was meant to remain hidden? As technology advances and we continue to explore the past, we might find that the greatest secrets of all are still waiting to be discovered. Some of the most incredible discoveries in archaeology haven't been made with shovels or brushes, but with the help of modern technology. Imagine finding lost roads, ancient writings, buried ships, and even secret rooms hidden in the most famous monuments in the world, all thanks to tools like aerial photography, lasers, and artificial intelligence. One of the most powerful tools helping archaeologists today is called LiDAR, which stands for light detection and ranging. It's like a laser scanner that flies through the sky, scanning the ground below. What makes LiDAR special is that it can see through trees, bushes, and other plants, revealing what's hidden underneath. It can create very detailed 3D maps of the ground, showing even the smallest bumps or shapes that the human eye might miss. In places like Lancashire in England, LiDAR helped archaeologists discover a 10-mile-long Roman road that had been hidden for centuries. This ancient road once connected two important Roman towns, but over time, it became covered by forests, fields, and even modern development. Nobody even knew it was there until LiDAR revealed its path, perfectly preserved under the surface. This discovery was truly amazing because it proved that even with all the changes that have happened to the land, traces of ancient civilizations are still there, just waiting to be found with the right technology. But that's just one of many examples of how new tools are helping us uncover the past. Another incredible story involves something far more modern, a machine called the Enigma. The Enigma machine was invented in the 1920s by a man named Arthur Skerbius. At first, it was made for businesses to keep their messages secret. But soon, the German military began using it to send coded messages during World War II. The Enigma was very complicated. Every time someone pressed a key, the machine would scramble the letter using a system of rotors and wires, making it nearly impossible to understand. There were so many possible combinations, trillions, in fact, that decoding a single message was thought to be impossible unless you had another Enigma machine set to the exact same settings. But during the war, a group of British codebreakers led by a brilliant mathematician named Alan Turing worked day and night to crack the Enigma's code. Their work took a lot of time, effort, and brain power. Sometimes it took days or even weeks to figure out just one message. Their success played a huge role in helping the Allies win the war, but it was incredibly difficult and slow. Fast forward to today, and things have changed dramatically. In 2017, a group of researchers wanted to see how fast modern technology could solve the Enigma puzzle. They created a special project called the Enigma pattern. Instead of using just people and paper, they used artificial intelligence and thousands of powerful computers. These virtual machines could go through 41 million Enigma settings every second. But what made their approach even more interesting was how they trained the AI. They used stories from Grimm's fairy tales, famous German stories full of unique language and structure. This helped the AI understand how the German language worked and recognize what sentences were likely correct. Because of this, the AI didn't just guess, it knew when something sounded right, much like a native speaker would. The result? The AI cracked the most complex version of the Enigma, the four-rotor machine used by the German Navy, in just under 13 minutes. Something that once took weeks and a team of geniuses could now be done in the blink of an eye by a computer. This shows how far technology has come, turning impossible tasks into quick solutions. And then there are the legendary Viking longships. These ships were the pride of Viking society. With their narrow wooden frames and dragon-shaped fronts, they traveled across oceans for trade, exploration, and sometimes for raids. But after the Vikings disappeared, their ships were buried and forgotten. For hundreds of years, these longships remained hidden under the ground. Then, archaeologists started using a tool called ground-penetrating radar, or GPR. This device sends radar waves into the earth. When those waves hit something solid, like wood or stone, they bounce back. That's how scientists can see what's buried without even digging. In 2018, GPR helped archaeologists find a 20-meter-long Viking ship buried deep in a field in southeastern Norway. The discovery was stunning. The shape of the ship was still there, showing how carefully it was made. Just a year later, another longship was found nearby. These discoveries have taught us a lot about how the Vikings lived, how they traveled, and how they honored their dead. Archaeologists can now scan entire fields and forests to find Viking villages, graves, and artifacts that were once thought to be lost forever. But ancient writing has also been a big mystery. Around 5,000 years ago in Mesopotamia, people began using a form of writing called cuneiform. They would press small wedge shapes into soft clay tablets. These tablets held stories, laws, records, and religious texts. Over time, over 500,000 of these tablets have been found, but reading them is no easy task. Many tablets are damaged or broken. The writing itself is complicated. One symbol can mean different things depending on the context. 4 years, translating these tablets was slow, and even the best experts could only make limited progress. That is, until artificial intelligence stepped in. A new AI model was trained to read and translate cuneiform directly into English. Even more impressively, it could fill in the missing parts of broken tablets by predicting what the original text might have said. This wasn't a random guess. The AI used known grammar rules, historical context, and patterns in the language to make smart choices. In just the past year, this AI has translated ancient royal messages and government records that would have taken humans many years to complete. And it's not just cuneiform. Another ancient script called Ugaritic, which is around 3,000 years old, has also been a tough puzzle. It's related to early Hebrew, but because it's written without spaces and with symbols that have multiple meanings, it has been very hard to decode. A student at MIT named Jing Luo, along with her professor Regina Barzilay, built an AI model to tackle this language too. Their AI did more than just match characters, it used math and computer logic to find the most likely translations and connect the words to other ancient languages. It could even understand how words were used in everyday life. This helped them figure out not just what the text said, but what it meant. Thanks to their work, another ancient mystery started to make sense. Let's travel to China now, where a truly breathtaking discovery was made in 1974, the Terracotta Army. Thousands of life-sized clay soldiers were found buried near the tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. These clay warriors stood silently for more than 2,000 years, each one with unique facial features, clothes, and weapons. But for all their beauty and mystery, people still wondered who made them. Recently, scientists studied the remains of people buried nearby. These were likely the workers who built the Terracotta Army. Using DNA analysis, they discovered that these workers came from all over the Qin Empire. This meant the project brought together many different groups of people, each with their own skills and backgrounds. The emperor's vision was so large that it needed help from across the land. With DNA, researchers can now learn even more, not just where the workers came from, but also their family histories and connections. They're starting to piece together the human story behind this massive creation. Even the Great Pyramids of Giza still hold secrets. These massive stone structures in Egypt have been studied for centuries, yet in recent years, scientists found something completely unexpected: hidden rooms. Using thermal scanning, which measures temperature differences in the stone, researchers found spots where the heat didn't match the rest of the wall. This suggested there might be empty spaces or chambers behind the stone blocks. In 2015, a project called Scan Pyramids used this technology on the Great Pyramid of Khufu. They found a strange heat signature on the eastern side. To investigate further, they used something called muon tomography. Muons are tiny particles from space that pass through objects like X-rays. By tracking them, scientists can build images of what's inside large structures. In 2023, they confirmed it: a hidden corridor about 30 feet long was discovered behind the pyramid's entrance. No one knows yet what lies inside, but the mystery continues to grow. It's exciting to think that even the world's most famous monuments still have surprises. In England, a place called Sutton who revealed another incredible secret. Archaeologists found the burial site of an Anglo-Saxon king. He had been buried in a massive ship filled with treasures, weapons, and a stunning helmet that became an icon of ancient British history. Although the wooden ship had rotted away, it left an imprint in the soil. Using ground-penetrating radar, scientists mapped the shape of the ship without digging it up. The ship was about 90 feet long, showing how powerful and wealthy the king must have been. And the helmet, when it was first discovered, it was in hundreds of broken pieces. But experts carefully put it back together. What they found was amazing. The helmet was decorated with scenes of warriors, animals, and mythical beings. It was not just for protection, but a symbol of power and a connection to the gods. This discovery helped people understand the deep beliefs and traditions of Anglo-Saxon culture. Sutton who showed that ancient Britain was full of art, meaning, and ceremony. Finally, one of the strangest and most mysterious objects in the world is something called the Voynich manuscript. It was found in 1912 by a Polish-American book dealer named Wilfried Voynich. The manuscript is a book full of strange writing, unknown symbols, and drawings of plants that don't exist. No one has ever been able to read it, and many experts have tried. Some people think it's a code, others think it's a lost language, and some even believe it might be a hoax. But despite all the guesses, the truth behind the Voynich manuscript is still unknown. What we do know is that it's very old, likely created in the 1400s, and it seems to follow real rules of language. This means it might actually mean something. In recent years, AI has been used to study the manuscript, looking for patterns and connections to known languages. There is still no full translation, but we're getting closer. Who knows, maybe one day we'll finally understand what the Voynich manuscript is trying to tell us. All of these discoveries show one powerful idea: the past is never really gone. It's waiting to be rediscovered, hidden just beneath the surface, inside ancient texts, buried ships, forgotten languages, or behind stone walls. And with the help of today's technology, lasers, radar, DNA, and artificial intelligence, we are finally able to see, hear, and understand what our ancestors left behind. The more we learn, the more we realize just how rich, complex, and connected human history really is. Every new discovery brings us closer to the people who lived thousands of years before us, reminding us that their stories still matter, and that the past is never truly silent. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe our channel. Have a good day.